Welcome to the video version of 15-minute free thinking. This is my second video, but this will be somewhat of a synopsis of the podcast I made earlier, which I have not uploaded yet, mind you. But the discussion revolves basically around people, and specifically police versus criminals and the criminal element. And I wanted to make a simpler version of this, a very simplified version, to not just make a podcast, but also to post as a video to ask people a couple of questions about this, because I've I feel like we're all kind of in the same boat right now. We realize that things are not the way they once were. This isn't something that surprises a lot of us. We feel like society is slowly kind of descending, and eventually the American way of life will have declined to such an extent that it will be unrecognizable from where it was when I was a kid. Now, it already is completely unrecognizable from where it was when my parents were kids. Back in the 50s and 60s, we didn't have a homeless crisis and tents all over the cities. We didn't have people stealing everybody's cars consistently and, home invasions. We didn't have police with tanks that were bashing down the wrong person's door for a mistaken identity for a drug charge. We definitely had crime. We definitely had corrupt police. But it was a different time. And as things change, it can only lead us to feel that we are in for some rough times. And if we don't deal with it and remedy it, then we are going to have to, I guess, reap what we sow. That we allow these things to happen. That we allow corrupt police to, remain in office. We vote in corrupt sheriffs because we don't know any better. We make poor decisions for ourselves and others about how we handle things when we speak up. People are afraid to speak up when they feel like they see something that's wrong, that they know they can do something about because they don't want repercussions against them. And we live in a pretty disgusting world at times. I mean, it is really nasty. And I don't like to even talk about it because it's so nasty. There are parts that, are phenomenal, of course. A majority of people have good intentions. But there are a few people who ruin it for everyone. It really is the, bad apple spoils the bunch syndrome. I mean, because if you have one person in your neighborhood whose entire income is based on stealing, that means that he has to take a little from all of you, right? Now, naturally, that's a metaphor. A person won't steal from his own neighborhood, he'll go somewhere else. But someone from that guy's neighborhood will be coming to your neighborhood. And the problem is, people work very hard for what they have, and they're proud of the things that they've earned and the things that they've done. If you come out and confront a burglar, you can't even, shoot them or harm them without the potential for a lawsuit against you if it wasn't equal force, even if it's the middle of the night and you can't tell. People are scared to even protect their own goods, and it's a weird time when you think about it. And the police will say, let us handle it, and the fact is that they don't. They just don't. And so people are kind of on their own. And I feel like that is a major component to why people are so resistant to, I guess, really acknowledge that everybody's a little bit right. When we talk about, say, the thin blue line versus the Black Lives Matter movement, there was this huge issue of cops versus protesters, right? It was never about that. It was the fact that, yeah, there were a bunch of corrupt idiot protesters and a bunch of corrupt idiot cops. But there were also good people everywhere, because most people have good intentions. I feel like it does us no justice to believe that all people have bad intentions. All people that are members of a group, whether it's political, police-oriented, protesters, if you assume that everyone has ill intent, then it's basically just stereotyping because it's lazy and it's simple. And it was the same way I felt when I went down to Portland during the June 1st, I believe it was, the, I guess, quote, riots, which started out as just protests, but we got tear gassed and I was filming the whole time, and I have all this amazing footage that I'm really wanting to share one day, but it was nothing surprising as to how the cops handled it, but that's because I've had, more or less my door pounded on and my whole room searched and everything taken for a couple of tiny pot plants when I was younger. And then I've had cops seize all my stuff. I've been on probation and had to pee in a cup. And the legal system is ridiculous. The things that I got charged for, even when I was younger, today people are getting out with a slap on the wrist and they never do any time. They never have to do anything. It's like if somebody breaks in and steals your car and gets busted, they're out the next day. If somebody robs your house and they get in trouble, they're out the next day. Even if somebody does a personal violent crime on another person, quite often they will get out on their own recognizance, meaning that they can report back to court, when their due date is. But people who harm others just get right out and walk the streets. And I think it's important that we protect ourselves, learn how to protect ourselves, and learn how to be wary because, if you're not already, I'm always keeping an eye out with people. I'm a nice guy, I'll talk to people, but there's some dudes that just kind of creep me out. And yeah, when I go certain places, I carry a large knife. And that's just, a little bit of a safety issue for me. There's some corrupt people out there, and I don't want to have to deal with them to where I'm on the losing end of the battle. So just to be safe. But at any rate, this was supposed to be kind of a synopsis or a shortened version, but I guess it's going to be more of an addendum or second half because it's already getting long. Oh, I guess it's only 8 minutes. That's okay. That's not that long. I thought it said 18 minutes for some reason. Hey, I can ramble for another 10 minutes. I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to say, but there is one final thing that I think is important. We really have to start to understand each other again. The thing I forgot to mention in the previous, podcast was cops are cops, but they're also people. And criminals are criminals, but they're also people. Many people who steal your catalytic converter go home to their wife and kids. Many people who wear a badge and, a uniform, as corrupt as they might or might not be, go home to their wife and kids. And quite often, it's more groupthink that causes us to be so ignorant that we're allowing ourselves to kind of follow what other cops do or what other criminals do. It's like folks, I think, mean well most of the time. I think that they care about each other. I think that most people in this world will really give you the benefit of the doubt if you're willing to talk to them. And that's all I really wanted to say. That we can't judge people by the uniform they wear, the clothing they wear, their hairstyle, their sex, their race, their gender, whatever it might be. Just let go of that shit and realize that people are people until they prove themselves to be assholes. In that case, it doesn't matter who they are. There are no victim holdouts. If you're a jerk, you're a jerk. And, society will tell you as much. So that's my ramble for today. I wish you all well, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for coming along. If you're listening to the video version, it will end now. If you want to hear the rest, you'll have to check out the podcast.